weirdest thing in the world. But thank you guys for being here. It means a lot. This book was a hearing aid. And this book was a vision of my son Georgie after he read my journals. From the trip that we took, for those who don't know, last September, I was gifted with the opportunity to climb Mount Kilimanjaro on a mission trip with One Child Matters. Jack and Onesimo are here. It's a huge honor to have them here. In order to change the life of a child. There were 23 climbers. We each had our sponsored child, and we were there to change their lives. And guess what? They changed ours. So this book is really just a sort of exploration of the ideas, things that came up for me. We were on the mountain for 7 days with no showers and no showering and no Starbucks. I don't know which of the three was worse. So this isn't working, but okay. So I want to thank you all for being here. I know it's a Saturday afternoon. It's a beautiful day outside. A lot of you might rather be at the beach. So if I can get this little thing to work, where are the techie people? Down? So this book begins with one of my favorite quotes, which is, "Life begins at the end of your comfort zone." And there's a lot of weight to that statement, and it really is sort of a catapult for what gave me the incentive to take this adventure, which was something that I knew that would happen for me one day. But my story is really, is that a blank screen? About a boy. This is Cipao. And this little boy is my precious little blessing, and he stole my heart the minute I got his packet in the mail, and I knew that I would be fighting for him. I was very blessed that Cipao has both parents, which is not very typical for Maasai children. You know, he also had a very present grandmother, and those grandmothers in the audience know what an important role we play in the lives of our children. And I was blessed that he had that, because I know that that's going to help him grow and become a better man. Now, all the children that we were sponsoring were Maasai children. They lived below the poverty line, and the purpose of our climb was to raise enough money so that they would have nutrition, education, and medical needs met from whatever age they were then, which they were all within the 5, 6, 7-year-old range, until they graduated their version of high school. Now, an interesting thing about Kenya, which I didn't know, is that public school is public, but it's not free. From day one, the parents have to pay. And guess what happens if they're below the poverty line? Are you going to eat, or are you going to send your kids to school? And that's where One Child Matters comes in. You know, I'm reminded of a story, and anybody who knows me has probably heard this story 1,000 times, about a gentleman who's walking towards a beach. Sugar, let them. This is their thing. It's good. He's walking down a beach, and he sees a little boy frantically grabbing something and throwing it into the ocean, grabbing something and throwing it into the ocean. And as he gets closer, he realizes that the beach is filled with starfish. And he asks the little boy, "What are you doing?" And he says, "I'm throwing starfish into the ocean. Because the tide, you know, brought them into the beach. And if I don't throw them back into the ocean, when the sun comes up, they're going to die." So the man looks around and he says, "There are thousands and thousands of starfish on this beach. What is the difference? What does it matter?" So the little boy grabs the starfish, throws it into the ocean, and says, "It matters to that one." And that is exactly the concept behind One Child Matters. They believe in the holistic approach to a child's needs. They don't just raise money for nutrition. They don't just raise money for education. They really take the entire child and work with their needs, educational, nutritional. They have spiritual support for the children and their families. And that's one of the things that really turned me on about One Child Matters. You know, they're not working in the frou-frou places. They're in 16 of the poorest countries in the world, and they cater to over 40,000 children through child sponsorship, providing hope and love and mercy to these kids who might not have otherwise, had an opportunity. So I'm gonna go, okay, seriously. If anybody knows the person who invented high definition cameras, I have a bone to pick with him. It's not that I'm in denial that the wrinkles aren't there. It's just that, anyway, that's our group at the end of our trip to Imardi, where we got to visit our sponsored children. That was a big motivator for us, a shot in the arm before our climb. And it was an amazing experience. And what I love about One Child Matters is that we have communication with our sponsored child the whole, every step of the way. We get letters, we get to witness their spiritual growth. We get pictures. This is Sibao with some goats that he had sent to him for Christmas. And we're able to witness, from this side of the pond, the impact that is being made in these children through sponsorship. And here we are at One Child Matters. Like I said, they provide all the educational needs, the nutritional needs, the medical needs, and a lot of love and encouragement for these children who might not have another way of climbing out of poverty. Our first taste of the magic of child sponsorship, we got to visit Anthony. And Anthony was sort of like the unofficial spokesperson for our climb. They had gone to visit him. They were able to see what sponsorship had done for him. And this little boy, that's a sunset, a Maasai sunset, right, Jack? Nothing like a Maasai sunset. The difference, we drove up in our Rovers, and you can read about it in the book, but we were greeted by all these children and these Maasai women just running to happy people, and you walk into these mud huts. These are their homes, and there's nothing in there. I mean, you walk in there and there's not, a pencil, there's not a carpet on the floor, there's nothing, and they are the happiest people I've ever come across. You could tell by the interactions of these people, in Anthony's case, he is being raised by his grandmother. We don't know for a fact that it's actually his grandmother, but she took it upon herself. There were 5 children who did not have parents in the village, and she was raising these children. And she's fighting, and she saw the opportunity that Anthony had with sponsorship through One Child Matters. She had a makeshift desk built in her mud hut so that he could study, which is remarkable because they don't really have much in the way of anything material. But she understood the impact and the opportunity that he had through sponsorship. And one of the other things that I really like about One Child Matters is that they support like-minded organizations. Anybody out there who's doing something and making a positive, trying to make a positive difference in the lives of children, they are out there supporting. It's not just the sponsorship; they're also lending their dollars, their field workers, and in order to support these organizations. And we had a unique opportunity to visit New Life Home, and this is a home in Nairobi, Kenya, which was founded by Mary and Clive Beckenham. And the beautiful thing about this home, this was their home. They were living there. He's a pastor, she's a nurse. And when the whole HIV issue came up in Africa, and it was very, prevalent, orphanages and hospitals would not take HIV babies. If they were born HIV positive, they were not fed and left to die. So Mary and Clyde found out about this and said, listen, anybody who finds out about one of these babies, you bring them to our home. Because if we can at least love them for whatever time they have, that's enough. That's what they deserve. And it turned out that through their dedication to these children were actually not only thriving but surviving. Their home has grown into these sprawling organization where we visited that day with neonatal units, and they have staff that loves these kids, and we got to visit with them and see firsthand what a difference they're making. in the lives of these children. And they told the story of the Global Health Initiative came in to see why their babies were having so much success. They were taking these babies from HIV positive to becoming HIV negative. And there's a lot of medicine. They applauded George and Laura Bush, which I'm a big fan. No, for you. And with all what they're doing in Africa to bring medication and to get education to these people who need it. And they came and investigated. They were following the same medical procedures as other places were doing that were having some success with these children being taken from positive to negative. And the only difference in their prescription was prayer. And that they realized that these health organizations that were coming to check, and that is the power of prayer, the power of faith. And we got to visit with the kids. It was an amazing experience. We didn't want to leave. And again, this was more fuel to our, that was me right now. And this is Sandra. She's amazing. And this little boy, I think Jeremy, you'll notice that his hand is covered in gauze. He was found newborn, stuffed into a can of coffee, and thrown over someone's fence. And the people at least had the wherewithal to go out and see what it was. And there was a baby in there. And they called Mary. They took him to New Life Home. And this baby is thriving. He was not supposed to be here, and he is, and he's happy, and he's doing well, and he's, surviving. And the beauty of what they're doing at New Life Home is that they're breaking this cycle, or rather reconfiguring this cycle. And they're finding that these children are succeeding. They've adopted out over 1,500 children. And of course, I hear the word adopted, I'm like, okay, where's the list? But actually, about 70% of their children now, compared to before where it was 0%, are being adopted in Kenya, which is beautiful because they get to stay in their home and they're raised in their culture. So that was really impressive for us. I don't know if she wrote this or what. And then, by the way, this was Jack's idea because he's a mountain man and he is a mountain climber. And Jack, are you wearing shorts? Because if you could show everyone your calves, that would be amazing. Jack.
Only if we take donations.
Okay. Jack actually sponsored his little girl. Her name is Faith, and the way that he raised the funds, we raised the funds and we told people we're going to climb this mountain. Jack actually dared to climb 14 14ers, which is a mountain that is 14,000 feet or higher, in 14 days. And he did that right before we left to Kenya, and he was a tremendous inspiration for all of us, and a big reason why we even survived and dared to summit. We all had our challenges throughout the climb in those 8 days and whatnot. Hi, and it was he was a tremendous sense of source of encouragement. I looked at Kilimanjaro as soon as we hit the foot of the mountain, and I said, I'm going to try to learn from this. If I don't die, I'm going to try to learn as much as I can from this experience. And we really did have the time. We got to really relish in our surroundings and the company that we were in. The climbers that were there, most of us had only met each other that morning in Dulles Airport before we headed out to Ethiopia. And we just gelled right away. We're a big family now. We love each other. We're having a reunion climb in Colorado, which I'm sure was Jack's idea again. But in July, and I can't wait to see them. We learned the magic of pole pole, which means take it slow. And that we learned was very, very useful, not just on the mountain, but in life. We tend to rush through things and everything is, we do everything in a hurry. I learned about the universal selflessness of the people of Africa, in the guides, the porters, the people that we would meet on the street. And, I thought about, we had two of the people in our group, Sophie and Sweet, were in human resources. And one of the nights at dinner, I said, I'm thinking about this, and it's not, we have so many seminars here on customer service, and you sort of have to learn how to do it. And in Africa, they don't have to learn how to do it. It's just like it comes out of the African soil, And that was one of the striking things that really hit home for me on why people like Alex, who went to Ghana on a medical brigades trip, came back and said, I just want to live there. You come back completely changed. And that was a big blessing for me. They were always very encouraging. This is William and Happy. And we were blessed to have this, hi Shusha. We were blessed to have these guides and porters who were they were very, very dedicated, not only to our success in Summit, but to our ability to enjoy our time there. And I was reminded of I had read on Facebook, I think it was posted a couple of years ago, and there was this African tribe that when someone does something wrong, they would put them in the center of the village. And for 3 days straight, they were bombarded with compliments and praise. And just all these reminders of things that they had done for other people in their village. So when I came back and doing research for the book, I'm looking for this tribe, and I'm looking up what is the name of this tribe, where are they from, are they Western Africa, Eastern Africa? I needed to know what it was. And I was 3 pages in on Google, which I never do, and everything said that it was a hoax, that it wasn't real, that picture was from some soccer game, and that tribe doesn't really exist. And immediately I felt sorry for the people that were posting this, because that tribe does very much exist. Not in the sense of a tribe like we think, but they are everywhere. They are here. They are, I call them empowerers. And we know people that could belong to this tribe, that are always trying to lift you up and always trying to make you recognize your value. And that was a big thing for me also. Not only with our fellow climbers, but just everyone that we met, the volunteers, because a lot of the One Child Matters people on the field are volunteers, and they do it so lovingly and givingly. Hi, Shusha. Do you want anything? Anyway, and I remember the day before we headed up the mountain. That's Masu. I love him so much. I wouldn't have made it up without him. Seriously. The day before we left for the mountain, we had an orientation, okay? And we had the 2 lead guides, one was Ruta and one was William. Just give us a little, they were going down the list of, housekeeping. And Ruta said, summiting this mountain is very easy if you follow this formula. It is 10% aptitude and 90% attitude. So I'm writing it down, and I'm looking around, and everybody is writing it down. And the truth is that it's not just about Kilimanjaro. That's about life in general. And I think that's one of the things that stuck with me the most. That our attitude is so important in everything that we do. Then William said, asked us for a favor. And he said, all I want you to do is enjoy your difficulties, because there will be difficulties on that mountain. If you commit to enjoying them before we hit the mountain, you're going to be good. And again, I thought, not just for the mountain, but in life in general, we know we have our share of crap. I'll keep it, clean for the girls. But we have to commit to really being able to when it comes, enjoy it. Know that it's there for a reason. Anyway, so we have food. For those of you who are more curious and hungry, we can take some questions. But I just want to thank you again for being here and letting me share this personal story. I want to thank my son who gave this story life, because I am not. And my baby girls for being so encouraging, and Chloe, now I ruined her because she won't watch a movie about Africa unless I'm in it. She's seen the video so many times. I want to thank Captain Jack and Onésimo for being here. It's a huge honor. They're, with One Child Matters, I feel like I just got the greatest gift in the world when I ran into this organization. It's been a blessing for me, and I love everything that they're doing. Wrong way. That's my vision board, my old vision board. It hung in my bathroom for 7 years, right in front of my toilet, so it was very visible. I only put a picture of that because when I came back, my kids encouraged me to do an experience board, and it matches almost exactly everything that I got to do on this trip. It was there, 7 years, like a faithful friend, holding on to all of my aspirations. And all I want to say is that I want to encourage you all to dream fearlessly and persistently and believe that God would not put a dream in your heart, that He would not give you the tools and the wherewithal to achieve. I think back on our family, and a lot of the cousins are calling me and saying, "Hey, I read the book. I didn't know where we came from and how close we were to the slaves. We're only 4 generations removed from slavery, and to have been given this gift of an opportunity to help a child in their very formative years has been a huge blessing for me. And I still feel undeserving, but very grateful. And it dawned on me that we're so blessed to live in a country, and many of us who have been born in a country that offers so much in the way of opportunities. We always talk about the American dream and the opportunities, and you'll read in the book the story of my grandfather and things that have happened. But the biggest lesson that I learned on that mountain was that that opportunity exists everywhere, even in the most remote villages of Kenya, with a giving heart. We have the ability, through sponsorship, whether it's with One Child Matters or any other organization, get involved. You have the ability to provide opportunity to children, especially, which are our future, our greatest resource. And we have the opportunity to help. And through sponsorship, through what we did, I feel that that we were able to support these children, and the cycle of lack and poverty and hunger is shifted just like that, and it doesn't take much. It's $39 a month. Some of us spend that in Starbucks. I know I do. But, I'm grateful for the opportunity to share my story. Ty, one of the evenings, talked about us being world changers, and I'm reminded of Margaret Mead's quote, and it says, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." Your being here, supporting this book, makes you a world changer. Those of you who have sponsored, and I know that many of you have already, you have begun the ripple effect. Ms. Jones. You have begun the ripple effect that is going to have a positive impact on our planet. And you know what? We're here to leave it a little better than it was when we got here. That's all we can do. That's all we can be expected to do. Through our children, through our grandbaby, my grandbaby. So that's what I'm saying. But we really are here just to leave it a little better than it was when we got here. So I thank you all for being here. I'm so grateful for the support and the overwhelmingly positive encouragement that I've received around lessons. And that's it.